وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبع هداه. If somebody can, I don't know if we can control this light, the front light. Is there a control here?
Yeah.
All right, Jazakallah khair. All right. So we started 2 weeks ago speaking about Ahkam al-Ra. Anybody can remind us about like a brief summary of what we spoke about before we tackle this table?
Yeah.
Well, briefly, because we're going to compare what's on the table with this brief or simple summary. We said that if the Ra has a haraka on top, usually it's mufakhama, right? It's strong. On top meaning a fatha, or a double fatha, or a dhamma, or a double dhamma. Or if it has a sukoon before it a fatha, or a sukoon and before a dhamma. And if the Ra has something on the bottom, that means if it has a kasra, it is muraqqaqa, soft. Or if it has a sukoon and before it kasra. And we I don't know if I mentioned a step further. I may have mentioned last week. If the Ra itself has a sukoon, and before it is sukoon, and before that we have a fatha or a dhamma, then usually it's strong, right? So we follow the simple rule, usually. And if it has a sukoon, and before it is sukoon, and before it kasra, then it is supposed to be soft. This is a general rule. If you remember this, you would cover most of the rules of Ra. And now keep this in mind while we are talking about these rules on the table here. So this table, I've improved it over the years. I started this many years ago. And as you can see here, the last update I did on this is 2009. But if there is any improvement that you can think of, then we can always add it. The purpose of this table is to basically simplify the rules of Ra, and also have them all at your fingertips, right? I'm not sure if you, hopefully most of you will find this easy to read. So on top here, the top column or the top row here, we have the Ra. A Ra, when the Ra has a dhamma or a double dhamma, when the Ra has a fatha or a double fatha, when the Ra has a kasra or double kasra, when the Ra has a sukoon. These are the different flavors, if you want, of the Ra. And on this first column here, we have the three options basically. So the Ra can either be soft or strong. But in some cases, in these exceptions here on the bottom, it could be either or. We'll get to them inshallah. So I have numbered each case, and I put in this column here some examples and an explanation of what the number means. Right? So we'll start with the simple one. The simple one is obviously number 1. So in this number, you can see here that it is under the row of tafkhim, which is when the Ra is strong. So all this row here, the whole row is when the Ra is strong. So the first column is number 1, which is when the Ra has a dhamma or a double dhamma.
The computer sleep.
Oh, the computer, yeah. Come on, computer. All right. So the explanation here, come on, Windows. It simply says here, when the Ra has a dhamma. So when the Ra has a dhamma, and I didn't include when the Ra has a double dhamma because we already assume that a dhamma is the same as a double dhamma, and the fatha is the same as a double fatha, and the kasra is the same as a double kasra. An example of that is the word absaruha, and this is an example from the Quran. Absaruha. So the ra here is mufakhama, strong, because it has a dhamma. So we say absaruha. This is simple, hopefully. Now number 2, the second column here, first row, is when the ra has a fatha, or of course a double fatha. And it says here when the ra has a fatha. And the example here is Rabbana. Rabbana. So the ra has a fatha, therefore it is mufakhama, or strong. This is simple. The third column here, second row, is when the ra has a kasra, or a double kasra. Unless you want to go in order. I'll tell you the difference now. The reason I mentioned this first, number 6, which is when the ra has a kasra, and the example here is rizqan, or rizqa. So the ra is soft. Rizqa. The reason I mentioned this first, we can go back to number 3 in a minute, is that up to here, the first 3 columns, it's very simple and straightforward. Do you agree? It's very simple and straightforward. And there is no exceptions so far. There is no complications, right? The complication starts, as you see here, this column is like wide, and it has a lot of stuff inside. Is when the ra has a sukoon. When the ra has a sukoon, then we'll have some complications. So let's go back to number 3. In number 3 here we have a ra with a sukoon. So now we are starting with the cases where the ra has a sukoon. In number 3, a ra has a sukoon before it dhamma. You remember this case? Ra with the sukoon before it fatha. So anything on top is mufakhama, strong. And here number 3 it says ra sakina preceded by a dhamma or fatha. Examples are Maryam and Al-Ghurfa. These are examples from the Quran. Anybody can tell me something about this word? What's the common mistake here in this word? Common mistake is that we make it soft. In many countries, in the slang, in Arabic slang, we say Maryam, right? This is how we say it in the slang usually. We make it soft. It's I think we probably find it easier to say than Maryam, or maybe because we got used to it. So most people would say it with the soft ra. But actually, it is a strong ra because the ra has sukoon and before it fatha. And the word ghurfa as well. The word ghurfa, the ra has sukoon and before it dhamma. And we still are in number 3 here on the bottom. And the case where the ra has a sukoon and before it we have a sukoon and before that we have a dhamma or a fatha. So here it says a ra sakina, that means the ra has a sukoon preceded by a sukoon, and here between brackets I put not a ya. We will see why in a minute. It shouldn't be the letter ya before the ra. Any other letter except the ya, and that letter should be preceded by a dhamma or fatha. And the example here is al-fajr, right? Al-fajr, we have a ra with sukoon, before it we have a jim that have a sukoon, before that we have a fa with fatha. So we have ra with sukoon, before it is sukoon, and before it fatha. So it makes it mufakhama, strong. Al-fajr. We don't say al-fajr. Fajr. You see the difference? So we say al-fajr, not al-fajr, because it's supposed to be strong. And then the other example is al-umur. So I'm giving an example with a fatha and another example with a dhamma. So we have a ra with sukoon, before it there is a waw with sukoon, and before that there is a mim with a dhamma. I'm mentioning the letters so that you follow with me. So we have ra with sukoon, before it is sukoon, and before that dhamma. So I say al-umur, al-umur. Number 3 is clear? All right, you can stop me if you have any questions. Number 4, we have the case of the ra having a sukoon and before it a kasra, a non-original kasra. We said that the ra, whether the ra has a shadda or not, it doesn't make a difference. Whether the sukoon on the ra is original or not, it doesn't make a difference. But here, the kasra that's before the ra, it makes a difference if it's original or not. So in this case, we have a non-original kasra. And the example here, so it is a ra sakina preceded by a non-original kasra. The examples are irtabu. What do you expect here when you say the word irtabu? You expect to say, and this is one of the most common mistakes that you hear people say when you hear them reciting. Even people who memorize the whole Quran. I've heard it many, many times. So they would say irtabu, irtabu, like this, ir. It's probably easier to say, but it is supposed to be irtabu. Because what happens is that it is defying the rule here. Because what we would have expected the kasra to make it soft. You remember that if the ra has a kasra or it has a sukoon and before it kasra, normally it would make the ra soft. But because the kasra here is not original, it made a difference. So it made a difference. And the example here, as I said, we say irtabu, not ir. And this is a common mistake.
How can we know the kasra is original?
Good question, Brother Ibrahim. Good question. All right. Now even the computer is upset. All right. I usually disable these power saving things. It's a good question. Usually, from what I remember, if you notice in these examples, it is a Hamzatul Wasl. It is Hamzatul Wasl. And Hamzatul Wasl usually doesn't have any specific haraka. Hamzatul Wasl doesn't... the story about Hamzatul Wasl, we will take it inshallah in level 4 or 5. It is only used to start the word. It is not part of the word. So it doesn't have any specific haraka. The haraka of Hamzatul Wasl depends usually, in most cases, on the third letter of the word. If the third letter has a dhamma or a fatha, if it has a dhamma, then it is a dhamma. If it has a fatha or kasra, then it is a kasra. Hamzatul Wasl will have a kasra, at least in this qira'ah. So I would start here with Hamzatul Wasl with the kasra. So I say E. Or in this case, what will happen in this particular ayah, there is the word before it. And the word was supposed to have a sukoon on the mim. So that sukoon with the sukoon of the ra were going to meet. So they change, or we change, the haraka of the mim to a kasra. This information, we're going to speak about it in later levels. But I'm just saying it for you to make sense of it. So the before it, the word it was supposed to have a sukoon. But we put a kasra so that we can read it. Of course, here, because I'm starting from the word I'm not going to read Hamzatul Wasl. Hamzatul Wasl, I only need it if I start from the word irtabu. If I start before it, I would say Amir tabu. And of course, here clearly you see that it was supposed to have sukun. It's but I put the kasra so that I'm able to read it. So I say Amir tabu. In some masahif, they would put the haraka on the Hamzat al-Wasl, they would put the kasra on it. In Mus'haf al-Madinah, they don't. So you are expected to know how to do it, how to read it. But it is, I guess it is indeed a good question, because knowing if it is original or not will make a difference in this case.
So we make Ra strong because of the kasra on mim in that case?
Yes.
Is it true? Like,
Because the non-original kasra on the mim.
what about Rabbi Irhamhuma?
Rabbi. Is it?
I think it's strong.
It is strong. I believe there is a ya after the ba. There is a ya.
Rabbi, no, it's ba is mushaddada with the kasra.
I'm pretty sure. Can you find it on the Mus'haf?
Don't remember.
All right.
Yeah, this surah.
All right. I can search for it. It's a good example.
What I learned was like if the ra is having a sukoon and if it is preceded by hamzatul wasl, then it's always strong.
It is always strong.
Yeah.
All right. That's a good. If this theory holds, it's a good way to remember it, because otherwise, trying to figure out if it's original or not. This is what you will find in the books of Tajweed. They will tell you it's original or not. But if you can get around it by this formula, which is any Hamzat al-Wasl in front of it will make it strong, then it's easier to remember.
It's ayah number 24, Surah Al-Isra. ده مشدد ومتكسر.
All right.
It's Mus'haf.
What did you say?
24, Al-Isra.
Al-Isra. Okay. Al-Isra. Yeah, واخفض لهم. I'm assuming that it's not an original kasra, but this needs an expert in the Arabic language. Maybe Brother Ahmed can chip in here. We can try to find out or come back to it, inshallah. It would be a good thing. I'm glad you mentioned it. I'm assuming because the rule is, and I agree with you, it is mufakhama here. There's no doubt. I don't have a doubt if it is mufakhama or not. But why is it mufakhama? Is the kasra non-original? It must be non-original kasra. But why is it non-original in this case? I'm not sure. We'll come back to it, inshallah, if needed. Yes, brother Baghdad.
First question is the non-original kasra is only with the Hamza al-Wasl, or there is other cases? And my second question is Hamza al-Wasl, what is the rules to know when I saw a word, I know that this is Hamza al-Wasl?
Hamzat al-Wasl, the shape of the Hamzat al-Wasl is different. They put something which is similar to a dhamma on it, right? They don't put a Hamza on it. So they put something which is similar to a dhamma or similar to a sad on it. You can look at it in the Mus'haf. You will find there are many words with Hamzat al-Wasl. You will find that they don't put an actual Hamza. If you were looking at the ayah that he just mentioned, Surah Al-Isra 24, the word Al-Kibar, for example. Al-Kibar, the alif of Al-Kibar is Hamzatul Wasl. وَخْفِضْ لَهُمَا as well in the next ayah, the first word of the next ayah. So they put something similar to a sad on it. The other question was, how do you know what to put on Hamzatul Wasl? Is that the question?
The first one is it's only Hamzatul Wasl, which is the case of non-original kasra, or there is other cases?
No, it's not only Hamzatul Wasl. The reason is, as I said, in this example, if we start with the word before it, then we are not going to mention Hamzatul Wasl. Whether it plays a role, like Brother Hanif just said, whether it plays a role in the definition or basically use it as a trick to know if it is original or not, that's something else. But here, it has been affected by the meme. If we start before it, then it has been affected by the non-original kasra on the meme, not on Hamzatul Wasl. If I start with the word before it, before the word irtabu, there is the word am. The word am. So the word am, we change the sukoon into a kasra. As I said, we're going to take this inshallah in later level. So obviously, it is a non-original kasra, because the word am was supposed to be written with the sukoon. We say am, which means or, this or that. Am hada, hada am hada. Right? So the sukoon on the meme before the word irtabu, we change it to a kasra. That means it's a non-original sukoon, kasra, non-original kasra. The thing Brother Hanif mentioned, which is useful, and I could even add it to this table, if it helps a person to know that whenever there is Hamzatul Wasl before the Ra, then the Ra is always strong. This makes it easier to remember the rule, rather than trying to know or trying to figure out whether the kasra is original or not. It's more challenging, definitely more challenging. And we said something similar to this when we spoke about Al-Lam al-Shamsiyya and Al-Lam al-Qamariyya, about the shadda. Instead of memorizing the letters, we talked about the shadda coming after the lam, right? So whenever there is something that makes it easier for us to remember the rule, this is best, right? Did you see Hamzatul Wasl? واخفض لهما as well. واخفض لهما. The Hamza of واخفض is Hamzatul Wasl. You see, they don't put Hamza, they put something like a sad on it. All right? All right, can we move on to the next point here, the next number 5? Are we ready for number 5? Number 5 is when the Ra has a sukoon and before it a kasra and after it harf isti'la, letter of isti'la that doesn't have a kasra. This is one of the most complicated things to say, right? And also this is one of those examples where you have to look at the letter before it and after it, like we were talking last week, right? In this example, it's very rare that we look the letter before it and after it. Yes, but
So do we have to look before it in this case?
yeah, because before it, why? Actually, we don't look at the letter after it until we figure out or until we confirm that there is a kasra before it. Which means that if there is no kasra before it, then there is no point looking at the letter after it. Which means if let's say there is a ra with a sukoon and before it there is a fatha or dhamma, I don't have to look what's after it in this case, right? But because there is a kasra then I have to look at the letter after it. Because if the letter after it happens to be harf isti'la, and I will tell you what harf isti'la is, that doesn't have a kasra, then it will be strong. The example here, let me read this first and then I will tell you about the huruf al-isti'la. Ra sakina preceded by kasra and followed by a letter of isti'la with no kasra. There's only 5 words in the whole Quran. This also simplifies things for us. There's only 5 words. First of all, huruf al-isti'la, I wrote them here. Huruf al-isti'la are the letters that are always strong, the strongest letters of the alphabet. They call them huruf al-isti'la, and those are the letters that are always strong. And they are grouped in this sentence here. Khussa, dagtin, qid. These are the letters, 7 letters. And the reason that they shouldn't have a kasra, because the kasra weakens the letter. It weakens the letter. It makes the letter weak. Because in terms of strength, even though the letters are strong, but they have degrees of strength. That means if the letter has a dhamma, it's stronger than if the letter has a kasra. If it has a kasra, it's still strong, but it is less strong than when the same letter has a fatha or a dhamma. Right? Because now it will be affecting the ra. So in this case, it is making it strong. So it has to be strong itself. Like the sad has to be strong. Otherwise, it will not make the ra strong. That's the reason that it shouldn't have a kasra. Because if it had a kasra, then it will not have that strong effect that will affect the ra and making it strong. This is the reason why it shouldn't be a kasra. And of course we will compare it later on with what is coming below it here, the examples, the exceptions below it. So the 5 words found in the Quran is firqatin. Firqatin. Of course, it shouldn't be confused with this word that we'll speak about later on, firqin. Right? So this one is firqatin. And you will see that the difference between firqatin and firqin is that this one has a kasra. Right? So firqa, the qaf has a fatha. The ra has a sukun and before it kasra, obviously. The second example is qirtas. So we have ra with sukun, before it kasra, and after it there's harf isti'la. The ta is one of the huruf isti'la here, and it has a fatha. So we say qirtas. The next word is labil mirsad. Mirsad. And of course, remember that this also it's defying the rule, right? The simple rule that we spoke about. Usually when the ra has a sukun before it kasra, it was supposed to be soft. So what is making it strong is the letter of isti'la coming after it. You had a question? All right. So here we say bil mirsad. Bil mirsad. And then the next word is similar to the previous one. So it's mirsad. So we have a ra with the sukun before it kasra, and after it the sad, which is one of the letters of isti'la here, with a fatha. We say mirsad. And the last word is irsad. Irsad.
It's difficult to make ra mufakham, I mean, before ta, you know.
Before the ta.
Yeah, it's difficult. Can you just say it? How can we say it mufakhama?
For example, in this example, qirtas.
Yeah.
Qirtas.
This is mufakhama?
Yes.
What about muraqqa?
Muraqqaqa, you would say qirtas. Qir.
You have to kasra under the top.
Yeah, but if you, I mean, the point is that can you say it like soft without changing anything, right? That's the point.
It's like you double the air.
No, you don't double it. You don't double it.
No, it's simplified.
It doesn't look like double. As I mentioned, the shadda doesn't, whether the presence of a shadda or not, it doesn't make a difference in terms of tafkhim or tarqiq. It's just a different sound. It's just a different sound. I don't think people. I don't remember people making mistakes in these words. Usually, the most common mistake, as I mentioned earlier, is when we have a non-original kasra before it. These ones, people, 99% of the time, they will make a mistake here. But the other words, firqatin, maybe they will make mistake in this one. Qirtas, I haven't heard anyone making it with the soft ra. Mirsad, and irsad. I haven't heard anyone making mistakes in these words. Maybe firqatun, because this one is similar to the word firqin that we'll come to, inshallah. So we just have to keep this in mind, that because it's a common mistake, so we'll try to avoid it. We'll try to avoid making a mistake here, which is number 4 in a non-original kasra. There are many other examples here that we heard over and over again from people making this mistake, like the word irja, for example, which is similar to this number 4. Irja. All right. All right. Yes, brother Sajjad.
Read those letters of isti'la. I can't really see them.
خص ضغط قض. So the kha, the sad, the dad, the ghain, the qaf, and the ra. And I'll be sending you this. I didn't want to send it ahead of time, but I will be sending you the PDF, inshallah, of this file. And brother Hani, if you could remind me that we'll, inshallah, try to add it here. That theory, verify it and add it.
Can we also modify that number 5, like ra sakina is followed by a letter of isti'la, then it's always strong.
Say again?
If the ra sakina is followed by a letter of isti'la, then it's always strong. You don't have to look before it.
We don't have to look before it?
Because isti'la letter has no qasr, right?
Yeah, letter of isti'la having either fatha.
If it's followed by a letter of isti'la, the letter of isti'la, of course, this condition still applies because it shouldn't have a kasra here, otherwise it will fall into this category. So you think this one we shouldn't have it, mentioning the kasra before it?
Because it would either be a fatha or dhamma, so it's always strong in that case.
So you mean if it has a dhamma or fatha, then it is strong. We don't have to mention it.
Because actually,
Yes.
I think if there is a fatha or dhamma, it will be automatically strong. So I think here, just to point in the fact that if it's kasra, we need to see if there is harf isti'la or not. Because automatically, if you have fatha or dhamma before, even if you don't look for the following letter, the right will be strong.
Well, I understand the point of. I just want to think about it more and verify it, because this is what you actually find in the books. Why did they go to the extent of mentioning it if we don't need? I mean, I usually simplify things. If we can simplify it and remove this, and we only mention that there is harf isti'la after it without the kasra, then it makes it a lot easier, because the dhamma makes it strong. The dhamma here makes it strong, the fatha will make it strong, and the kasra will also make it strong if it has harf isti'la after it. That means if there is harf isti'la after it that doesn't have a kasra, whether there is a dhamma or fatha or kasra before it, it's still strong. That's the point that Brother Hanif is trying to make. All right. We'll inshallah verify this and the number 4 as well. And then we'll change the date here to 2015. All right, number 6, we already spoke about it. It's the simple case where the ra has a kasra or a double kasra. And the example here is rizqa. Rizqa. So we say ri, not ri. Ri. I heard some people saying ri, like they make it strong, as if there is just one flavor of ra. Now number 7 is similar to number 4, except that it is an original kasra before the ra sakina. And let's see the example here. Ra sakina, number 7, preceded by kasra and not followed by a letter of isti'la in the word shir'atin. Shir'atin. And the reason they mentioned here not followed by a letter of isti'la is because if it is followed by a letter of isti'la, we'll find ourselves in this case here, number 5. So they had to mention it here. Remember here we have ra sakina preceded by kasra and after it harf isti'la. So it's similar, except that this one is not followed by harf isti'la. So in this case, the ra is soft, because otherwise it would have been strong if it would have been followed by harf isti'la. So we say shir'atin, shir'atin. All right. Number 8, we have a ra sakina. And the first line here, the black line, it means a letter. And the second line means another letter. So we have ra sakina preceded by sukun. That means a letter with the sukun, preceded by another letter with the kasra. So here it says ra sakina preceded by sukun, not a ya, it shouldn't be a ya, preceded by a kasra. And the example here is al-dhikr. Al-dhikr. So in the word al-dhikr we have ra sakina, and before there's a kaf with the sukun, before there is a dhal with the kasra. So al-dhikr. And finally we come to the example where we have a ra with the sukun preceded by a ya with the sukun. And that's the reason here in number 3 it says not a ya. Number 3, this one, the second part of number 3, because if here in this example we had to look at the second letter after the ra or before the ra. Here also we had to look at the second letter before the ra. In this case, because it is a ya, the first letter before the ra is a ya, then we don't have to look any further. We don't have to look any further. All right. So if there is a ya, before the ra sakina, then right away we conclude that it is soft. In this case, also, it defies the general statement that we made, the general rule that we made, because usually in other examples, if we have a ra sakina preceded by sukun, preceded by a fatha, then it was supposed to be strong, mufakhama. But in this case, it is soft. So we say al-khayr, al-khayr, not al-khayr. We say al-khayr.
Why yeah when it's
well,
preceded by yeah, it will be automatically.
Well, that's the rule. That's the rule.
I mean, there's it
Well,
Because yeah is like kasra or something.
it could be. It could be. I'm not sure the history of it. I'm not sure of the history of it, but this is the rule that they deducted from how people pronounce the words, right?
Should be soft here.
It is soft here, but as I said, it was supposed to be strong because remember we said if the ra has a sukoon before there's a sukoon and before fatha is on top, so it was supposed to be strong. But
like in Surah Al-Qadr, strong in this case.
Khair if you stop, of course. If you stop, al-khair, if you stop. Because if you don't stop, if you say al-khayru, then the ra has a dhamma. Makes a difference. We will inshallah get to it when we start reciting. So this ra, the sukoon on the ra, it doesn't matter if it's original or not. It doesn't matter if it's original, but it has to be a sukoon. That means if the word khair, if I don't stop on it, right, and I say al-khayru, then the ra itself has a dhamma. If the ra has a dhamma, I don't have to look what's before it or after it, or that's it, it's strong. So we say al-khayru. But because I stopped, I say al-khayr. So it will sound different, it will sound soft. Is it clear? Yes, Brother Muhammad.
This is just a small thing, but for number 8, I don't think it needs the condition for not yet. Because even if it was a yet before there was a kasra, it would still be soft anyway, right?
Say it again.
So for number 8,
Yeah.
you have sakina preceded by sukoon in brackets not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because the number 9 talks about the yet, but you don't really need that condition for it not to be a yet. Because if it was a yet and there was a kasra before it, it would still be soft, right?
All right. Do you agree with what Brother Muhammad is saying?
Yes.
All right. If we simplify it, the better.
Maybe next time we put the time.
Say again?
Maybe you put the time with the date.
All right. Jazakallah khair. All right, that was number 9. We only have 3 to go. The reason I labeled this differently is because these are exceptions, right? And we don't have too many words in the Quran like this anyways. In the first case, you will see that it's only mentioned once. So it's just one word. And they have a rule for this word. So in this case, A, the word firqin. Firqin. So I put here original kasra here, original kasra, and the symbols I use here, the down arrow and the up arrow, is what I wrote here. What takes precedent, or what is more preferred. What is preferred? In this case, this word firqin, it's basically equally, it's done equally soft and strong. So you could say firqin with a soft ra, or you could say firqin. So it says ra sakina preceded by kasra and followed by a letter of isti'la with a kasra, and it's only once in the Quran. It's nice that we know that's only one word, which means if you make a mistake in this word, only this word, that means you're like one of the top reciters, right? If you only miss one word.
How can we make a mistake in this? It's both of.
That's true. In this case, you can't make a mistake. You just pretend that you made it soft. Yeah, I read with the soft version. That's true. In this case, you can't. Jazakallah khair. All right. In B, we have 2 words, and it says here ra sakina preceded by a letter of isti'la. Notice here that it is preceded by a letter of isti'la, sakin, so it has a sukun. The letter of isti'la has a sukun, preceded by a kasra. That means the letter of isti'la is preceded by a kasra. So we have a ra with sukun, before it harf isti'la, in this case a sad with the sukun, and before the sad we have a mim with a kasra. And I put the up arrow here. That means it is read preferably with a strong ra. People from Egypt will know this. So we say Misr with the strong ra, preferably, right? The second word in the same box here is the word al-qitr, which has the same thing. It has a sukun on the ra, and it has the ta, which is harf isti'la with the sukun, and it has a letter before it with a kasra. So here, making the ra soft is preferred. So we say al-qitr, al-qitr, or qitr. And this is also, I don't know how many times it's mentioned, probably a few times, 2-3 times at most in the Quran.
Is this the qitr in the Kaf?
No, I believe in I believe in the story of Sulaiman. It could be in Surah Al-Kahf as well. أفرغ عليه قطرة. The other one in Surah Al-Kahf, it has a double fatha. That means the ra will never have a sukun. So أفرغ عليه قطرة, that means it will never have a sukun. So it's this one in the story of عين القطر. عين القطر in Surah, I can't remember the surah now. Dawood. The story of Dawood, yes. عين القطر. وألنا له الحديد. Probably maybe in Surah Al-Hadid. All right. And finally, box number C here. And one of the words we mentioned last week, or we tried to mention last week. The first word is يسر. والليل إذا يسر in Surah Al-Fajr. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر. This one, technically, it was supposed to be strong. Are we getting confused now? All right. It was supposed to be strong because the ra has a sukun. Before it a sukun, and before it a fatha. So it was supposed to be strong. But here they said that originally this word had the ya after the ra. So originally it was supposed to be yasri. That's why making the ra soft is preferred. So here it defies the rule, right? We are defying the rule here. So we say yasr, yasr, والليل إذا يسر. هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر. Yes, hijr.
So what does that mean? Why was the ya taken off? Like when does that happen? That ya was there and then it was taken off?
It happens quite a bit. I mean, in the origins of some words, they had some letters that have been either modified. Let's say a waw turned into an alif, and so on. So the origin of the word had some letters that have been taken off.
But the meaning doesn't change.
The meaning, I don't believe it changed. I don't believe. Like last week, I wrote down a word on the board here. I wrote it wrong, actually. I put a note in the video that I wrote it wrong for some reason. Brother Ahmed reminded me that it is written differently. It's written differently in classical Arabic, and also in the Quran it's written differently than the classical Arabic. So the word was al-riba. I wrote it with the ya. So in classical Arabic, it's written like this with an alif, and in the Quran, I believe it's written like this. Completely different. But the rule was correct. I didn't make a mistake in the rule of the ra. I just made a mistake in writing the word. So the ra is soft, obviously, because it has a kasra. So I was mentioning the word yasr here, and we said the preferred, it is preferred to make it soft, the ra soft. So we say yasr. And finally the word nudhur, like we were reading in Surah Al-Qamar last week. This word, even though they say originally it was nudhuri, that means like the word yasri, it used to have a ya, that means the ra had a kasra, so it was supposed to be soft, but instead of being soft, it is strong. Nudhur. For us, this particular word nudhur, it doesn't really defy the rule as far as we are concerned. When we see it, the ra has a sukoon before it dhamma, so it is strong. I don't even have to remember that it is an exception. It's not really an exception. It is an exception without being an exception. But if you heard somebody reading it soft, then you shouldn't be surprised, because it's one of the exceptions. هذا والله تعالى أعلم. This has been like it seems like confusing, very confusing. but again, I can go back and say that if you try to remember the simple formula, then it will help. Remember the simple formula. The simple formula was that if the ra itself has a haraka on top, or if it has a sukoon and before it there's a haraka on top, or if it has a sukoon and before it is sukoon and before it a haraka on top, this is usually strong, mufakhama. And it is soft when the ra itself has a kasra, or if the ra has a sukoon before it kasra, or the ra has a sukoon before it kasra. This is the general rule, right? The rest of the exceptions, once you basically master this, then the exceptions, you can try to remember the major ones, right? Something like yasr and nudhur and al-qitr and misr and firq, those are not really important. But as far as I am concerned, they are not very important. The ones that are more important, or they come at a high level after the major highlights, is something like this, khair, and something like these words and these ones, irtabu, when the non-original kasra is before the ra sakina. Those ones probably are more important than the small exceptions here that are found very few in the Quran. The word firq and the word misr and qitr and yasr. Right? Any questions? All right. Let's try to read. Yes, Brother Hanif? All right. Let's try to read at least the Surah Al-Mursalat, the 4 ayat that we were supposed to read today. And in the meantime, if you think of anything that will make this table easier to read, or if there's any changes that you think are useful, then you can always let me know, inshallah. All right. Brother Ahmed, you want to start?
from 32.
32, 36.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون.
Repeat 35. هذا يوم.
هذا يوم لا ينطقون.
It just seemed like the ha is kind of strong, too strong.
Okay.
Huh? That's what I felt the first time you read it. I don't know. The second time maybe it was better. Jazakallah khair. Brother Ahmed.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون.
The lam of لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم. The lam is always soft except in the word Allah and Allahumma. So make sure you make it soft. Now, the question for you, the word bishara in the first ayah that you read. Tell us what kind of rules we have there.
We have Ra double kasra, which is strong, and then Ra fatha, which is strong.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. You all agree with him? You want to say something? No? Anybody wants to say something? Brother Hanif? You don't know? So you want to help him?
In the first row we have fatha, so that's very strong.
So you agree with him in that one? All right. At least you agree with him in something.
Now for the second row, if we
I'll
continue,
come back to you.
then we have two kasra, which makes it soft. And if we stop, then we have a sukoon on ra, preceded by a fatha, so in that case it would be strong.
All right, Jazakallah khair. You want to add something, Brother Yahya?
No.
All right.
Wait, no. There's
Jazakallah khair. So you are awake after all. Yeah, you couldn't have added that part if you haven't heard what he said. So it's good that you are awake. MashaAllah. Yes, we have ikhfa. So there are basically a lot of things. We have 4 items that needed to be mentioned. So the first ra has a fatha, so it was strong. The second ra, if we continue, then it has a double kasra, that means it's soft. If we stop, it will have a sukoon, and before it fatha, then it's strong. And of course, if we continue, we have ikhfa. If we don't continue, we don't have ikhfa. But if we continue, we have ikhfa. All right? Jazakallah khair. But Sister Aya?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر
جمالة صفر.
كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون.
Jazakallah khair. The word innaha, the first word you read. Innaha. Tell me, what are the rules in this word? All right, how long is the mad tabi'i?
2, 4, or 6? Not 2.
2?
2.
What's the proof? What's the proof that it is mad tabi'i?
Well, the alifs on one of the letters of med.
All right. That is the proof? All right. That's part of the proof, but not the whole thing. Anybody can help? Yes?
Alif preceded by
That's the proof? Alif preceded by fatha? Yeah, we can add it to the proof, but still we are missing something, Brother Yahya.
Alif is part of proper med.
We already mentioned that. Yes.
Is it because the na has a fatha? The letter before has a fatha?
No. A good try, but no.
There is no sukoon or hamza after the
Yes, because in the mad, we usually look at what's after it. We don't look at before it, right? So we don't look at the noon. We look at what's after harf al-mad. After harf al-mad, we don't have a sukoon and we don't have hamza, and that's what makes it mad tabi'i, to haraka. Was there anything else in the this word? Yes, Brother Yahya.
It's not the noon that's for it, the has.
Yeah. All right. we don't look at what is before it anyway, so whether it is a noon or ha, yeah, it's a good point. But noon mushaddada, what about it?
No, we say if there is other rule.
Yeah. So we have a noon mushaddada. That's the other rule that we didn't mention. And what about it? What do we do with the noon mushaddada? We do ghunna, to haraka. And this is the mistake that you did. You didn't make it long enough. So we say innaha. So we make it long whenever we have noon mushaddada or mim mushaddada. The other ones you did them better. Ka'annahu. This one you did better. And there was another one that you did better. But the first one, when you started, you said innaha, something like that. So you should be innaha. Okay? You make sure you do that, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Brother Baghdad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون.
All right, the word tarmi. We're still in the first ayah. Tell me about the word tarmi.
We have ra with sukoon, preceded by ta with fatha. So in this case, the ra is strong. And also we have tabi'i and tarmi.
All right. The ra is strong. Did you make it strong when you read it? All right. Did he make it strong? He didn't make it strong. Yeah, tar. It should be tar, not ter. You said ter. Termi, you said. Yeah. Of course, we need to be familiar with the rule, but also we need to be able to put it into practice. All right? Jazakallah khair. Brother Hanif?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون.
جزاك الله خير Brother Hanif. Brother Ibrahim.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون.
All right, Brother Ibrahim, I'm just going to pick on one issue here. There was more than one issue, but the word sufr in the ayah number 33. Tell me something about this word. مفخمة أو مفخخة؟ مفخمة. Strong. All right. Don't break it. That's it? All right. Jazakallah khair. You agree with him? Who is talking? All right. Brother Baghdad?
If we stop in it, the ra, it will be turned sukun, and then there is sukun preceded by sukun, so we need to see the letter before the fa, sad, and it's dhamma, so in this case the ra is
So did you agree with him or not?
it's incomplete.
Incomplete.
So we need to say if we stop.
So what did he say?
It doesn't say if we stop.
Oh, he said it's mufakhama, that's it? All right. So if we stop, it's mufakhama.
And
What about if we continue?
It's still strong.
Mufakhakha. All right, do you agree with him? Anybody? It's incomplete, Brother Hanif.
So the name will be followed by wa, which is waw, which is Arabic letter of Islam, with hunna. So we have a noun of Tanween.
Yes. Jazakallah khair. Yes, he did say if we continue.
He made a mistake on fa. He made
Yes. He made qalqala on the fa, for those of you who noticed, as well as Brother Baghdad. So he said sufr, and this is qalqala. We don't have qalqala on the fa.
So how you can
Sufr, not sufr. Sufr, you see, you're adding sufr or sufrun, sufr. It's more difficult to do when you stop on this word. It's more difficult to pronounce it without doing a qalqala. So you are trying to basically compensate, like to make it heard, right, Brother Ahmed? It's not your turn yet. You already read. So you're trying to make it heard, so you're making qalqala on the fa, but there's no qalqala on the fa. All right? Do you agree? All right. Jazakumullah khair. Brother Luqman?
أعوذ بالله
من الشيطان
الرجيم إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون.
Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah. Just one question here for you. The word in the same ayah we were talking about, 33, the word كأنه. Tell me something about the word كأنه.
So there's a noon, it's shadda, so two haraka. There's a mad after at the end.
All right. Do we have to do that mad or?
Two haraka.
Two? Did you do two?
I can't remember.
All right. You didn't have time. Yeah, you didn't do two haraka. You didn't do anything there. So we want to make sure Now, the first step is to know the rule. So you knew the rule, but you didn't put it into practice. So we want to go to the next stage where we put it into practice. Of course, a person who doesn't know the rule, if you didn't know the rule, then you have no chance to, or almost no chance unless you read it, unless you learned it properly. You have no chance to read it properly. So the first step is to know the rule. Second step is to put it into practice. And I remember this week one knowledgeable person who used to teach us Tajweed, and he used to be honestly like very knowledgeable in terms of remembering all, especially when it comes to the sifat, the characteristics of the letters and the makharij and those things. Each letter has about 5 or 6. Each letter has 5 or 6 sifat that you have to memorize, and they would ask you, this letter, tell me the sifat, and you would have to tell him. And I used to memorize them. I don't memorize them anymore because I don't think they are important at this stage. But this same brother, when he used to lead once in a while, they used to ask him to lead, he makes huge mistakes. And I thought, what's the point of knowing all this if we are not able to put it into practice? Similarly, all the instructions, the Islamic instructions, there's no point knowing them and not putting them into practice. And this is the issue we have overall as Muslims. Like, we know a lot of information, but we don't put it into practice. Like, you go to the Muslim world, everyone is a scholar, but nobody's willing to. So that's why in this Tajweed course, we put the emphasis on little information, but we try to put into practice to know how to do it, right? You don't have to remember all this, except of course if you are teaching it. If you are teaching it, and I suggest that you teach it, right? It's you go one step further. I mean, knowing it and practicing it is good, but teaching it is even better, right? Like transmitting this knowledge. All right, Jazakallah khair, brother Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون.
I was going to ask you about the word kal-qasr. Anyway, I will ask you anyways. 32. Kal-qasr.
So if we stop, we have a ra with a sukoon on it, and there's a sukoon before it, and then a fatha before it. So it'll be strong. If we continue, it'll be a ra with a kasra on it, so it'll be soft.
Do you agree with him?
And then also there's a lam.
All right. Yes. Jazakallah khair.
So
What?
it's not a letter of isti'la?
Yeah. It is.
I remember there is a case when it's
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask him, since you mentioned harf al-isti'la. Does this word fit any of these categories here, or these examples?
Can I take a second to look?
It is similar to
those on the bottom.
to those on the bottom.
But it's a choice, right? So either way it would be right.
No, except that it doesn't have a kasra. It doesn't have a fatha. It doesn't have a kasra. The word before harf al-isti'la doesn't have a kasra like this case here.
Yeah,
In this
so
case, it has a kasra.
If you were to generalize it, if it comes before, then either it's the general rule or you have choice to do either one, right? You'll never.
In case it fits, but it doesn't really fit. It doesn't really fit. I mean, it's similar. It's similar. Yeah, it doesn't. It's a general rule. Yeah, it's a general rule. Yes.
So in this case, we ignore the letters of isti'la and we see, because there is a sukoon, and we will see the first letter. This is what you...
You mean in this case?
No, in this qasr.
In this case, it's just a normal.
We need to see the qaf because there is a fatha, so the ra is strong.
Because in this case, the ra will be strong, whether the harf al-isti'la doesn't affect it, right? It's not like it was soft and it's trying to affect it, right?
And if we continue, for example,
If you continue, of course, the ra will have a kasra, so we don't even look at what is before it or after it, right? All right. If we continue, it's simple. The ra has a kasra. That's it. We move on. The word فَيَعْتَذِرُونَ, you read it with the soft ra. You made the ra too soft. يَعْتَذِرُونَ. You said يَعْتَذِرُونَ. رون. More stronger, like the word كافرون. كافرون.
With kal-qasr, did I make that soft or did I?
That one seemed to be okay, but it was pretty obvious in فَيَعْتَذِرُونَ. Because, as I said, the word kafirun, in the slang, we tend to make it soft, and the word ya'tadirun also. Ya'tadirun, we say ya'tadirun in the slang. All right, jazakallah khair. Brother Nasser.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون.
Jazakallah khair. The word ينطقون, ayah number 35.
There is
Where?
with the word qaf.
With the letter qaf.
With the letter qaf.
All right. Is there anything else? All right, Brother Yahya.
There's no qalqala on the qaf because it has no spoon.
Mm-hmm.
And there's mat tabi'i if you continue in the wow.
Mm-hmm.
But if you stop, it's mad al the sukoon. And there's also ikhfa in the noon.
All right. So you agree with him? Before I ask you something, do you agree with him, brothers? Okay, they seem to agree with you. The question to you, to Yahya, what did Hammu Nasr make in terms of mistakes in this word, ينطقون? You would have had to have heard him recite
I
it.
think he didn't make the ikhfa.
Do you agree with him? All right, that's correct. You were awake. MashaAllah. Yeah, don't worry. That's the point. Yeah, you didn't, Brother Nasser, you didn't make the ikhfa. You didn't make the ikhfa. So you said ينطقون. You're supposed to say ينطقون, ينطقون. And there was no qalqala there. You didn't do a qalqala anyways, and like you didn't make a mistake in the qalqala because there was no qalqala, but you made a mistake in the ikhfa. All right? Jazakallah khair. Brother Sajjad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون.
The word lahum in the last ayah you read, tell me something about it.
It is what's the word called that fast, but it's idhar.
It's idhar. Do you agree with him? You're silent anyway, so. The word lahum. All right, you agree with him? All right. Whether you continue or not.
You always have
All right, Jazakallah khair. Here's something. If we continue or not, we always have idhar in this word, lahum. And something to note here is that the word fa, we have to pay extra attention to make sure that we are doing actual idhar. Because the common mistake here is that we tend to hide it. We tend to say lahum fa, lahum fa. And you hear a lot of people say this, lahum fa. Like it's easier to say instead of closing the lips and then opening them. There's no time. Right? You just go and keep them open. Lahum fa. All right? Jazakallah khair. You didn't do that mistake, I'm just saying. Brother Yahya?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون.
All right, mashallah. I couldn't find any mistakes, which is a good thing. All right, I'm not going to ask you a question since I didn't find any mistakes. Let's see how your dad does. We'll pick on him. All right, Abu Yahya.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون.
Jazakallah khair. The word bishararin, did he make a mistake in the word bishararin?
second one slightly strong.
Do you agree with Brother Hanif? Yeah, it's very common because they are the two ras are together, so we tend to make the second one stronger. Say bishararin, shararin, rin, like this. But it should be bishararin, shararin, shararin.
The shin is soft, right?
The shin is always soft, and the ba. Bisha. Yeah, unless I said it wrong. The shin is always, and we have to make sure it's soft. Bisha, the ba is soft, the shin is soft. The first ra is strong, and the second ra is soft if you continue. All right. All right. With this, alhamdulillah, we conclude this level 3. Of course, we will do the test, inshallah, after we come back. The suggestion is that we start, instead of starting after Ramadan, we start in September. Who finds this like a good idea to start in September instead of after Ramadan? September?
أنا مسافر شهر 9. Better to start after Ramadan for me.
All right, better after Ramadan. How many after Ramadan?
Oh,
Inshallah.
the same thing.
All right, I didn't think it was this much, but all right, let's try after Ramadan, inshallah. The thing is that we have the test before we start the level 4, and the test is to memorize half of Surah Al-Qalam. Half of Surah Al-Qalam, and of course, this is a good occasion. You have Ramadan, and you have like a few weeks.
Which half first or second?
Usually the first. Usually the first half. The first time I did this test, I asked for the whole surah, but we found that a lot of people had a lot of trouble with it. So now we are basically down to half. And still, if a person doesn't memorize it for whatever reason, doesn't have the time or the memory or the energy or whatever, he will start the test with minus a few points, like 15 or 25 points. So you start like with the penalty basically. But for most people, if you do well in Tajweed, you will pass even though you start with the penalty, right? But if you memorize it, that will show your actual level in Tajweed. So Surah Al-Qalam, the first half of it. Yes, Brother Muhammad.
Will we still have a review session before the test, or?
We usually do. I mean, especially when we take a break. Alhamdulillah, we started in November, as you were all here with us, or most of you, and we didn't take a break except when we didn't have the classroom during the Christmas time. But we went like straight through quite a few months now. So after taking a break, most people will. This is actually today is the lowest number we had, 13 people. That's the lowest number we had since we started in November. The lowest number before that was 14. We never dropped under 14, except yeah, our cameraman today skipped for I know the reason, but I guess we don't blame him. So because we are taking a big break, we will need to do like a review. So maybe the first week we'll do a review, and then we start doing the test over 2 weeks, like we did over 2 or 3 weeks, like we did previously, and we start the level 4 at the same time. So the first session is a review. What I suggest, and what I was thinking to do, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it or not, is to send these videos to people, even people who didn't take Tajweed with us, and there are about 30 videos. You can do 1 video a day during Ramadan. By the end of Ramadan, you would have reviewed, especially for people the people who didn't start with us, or the people who are weak in Tajweed, all the people who want to do this if they were not with us, do it at home as a project. Every day, take the lesson, do the practice, and I think it's a good project for Ramadan.
Even we can download them and take them back to our country. We don't mind.
You want to sell them or? No, alhamdulillah. I mean, if somebody can benefit from them. This is mainly for the people. I mean, it's not something that is for people who are at home and they want to take Tajweed. It's mainly for people who are already taking the Tajweed, for them to review, right? Because you need to do it one-on-one. It's not something that you would learn by yourself at home. I mean, for most people, it's not going to work, right? Tajweed is basically live sessions.
He's one of my relatives. He started reciting Quran at home. Listen to Sheikh, I don't know, and he, mashallah, keep it to like the half mushaf, Then he went to recite to other sheikhs. They told him that his reciting is like perfect. And the sheikh asked him, where did you go to? I mean, which sheikh he taught you? He said, no, nobody taught me. He couldn't believe him, But subhanallah, it's like exception maybe.
This is an exception, and I know that it does exist, right? It does exist. But this is, you're talking about maybe at most 5%, or maybe 5% is too much, maybe 1% of people who will be able to do this. Those are people who are kind of, their listening is very sharp, very accurate, and they can translate this into words, because you may be able to hear something, but you may not be able to imitate it. Right? You see these comedians, they sometimes imitate other people, the way they talk and the way they behave and stuff, because they have this ability. Not everyone can do this or imitate their voice. I will show you, inshallah, I have a presentation later on in level 4 or 5, where there is this sheikh. He is pretty popular now, that imitate the other mashayikh. So you would ask him to read like Sudais, he would read like Sudais. You would ask him to read like Husali, he would read like Husali. It's just amazing. It's a gift. Yeah, it's not everyone can do that, but it's a gift. So for most people, they will have to sit down with the sheikh. Otherwise, if they read it wrong, if they memorize it wrong, learn it wrong, it's almost impossible to fix it, right? It's gonna require a lot of effort. All right, I think we run out of time. We made it an hour and a half, alhamdulillah. All right, jazakumullah khair for attending, alhamdulillah. We'll keep you updated through email. I will send you this document and we'll, inshallah, hopefully after Ramadan, we'll pick up, inshallah. جزاكم الله خير سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك